Okay, good morning. Happy to join this high-level panel, and thank you to my friend Hisham for the long presentation also. Thank you very much. So I was happy to see the presentation of the technologies, the evolving technologies, and what the future can come with for CSP. Now, what I will present is what is the perspective from the grid? What will be the impact on the grid for what is coming from renewables, in order to understand what can be the role of CSP and thermal storage in order to guarantee that we will continue to have our needed electricity as we have it now, while using renewables. Please let me first present a little bit the Moroccan objectives and Masen. I think that they are well known. So just in one word, Morocco decided in 29 to develop its renewable plan with wind, solar, and hydro in order to reach 42% of its installed capacity by 2020. And then in 2015, it was decided to develop more renewables by 2030 to reach 52% of renewables for electricity production. Now we are studying more voluntarist programs for the future, and we will see how we can use it. In order to allow the development of renewables, Morocco creates a legal framework. The first thing was to create Masen itself, the Moroccan Agency, in the beginning of solar energy, that was created by law, and then after an agreement between ONEE, the utility, which will be the off-taker of all solar energy produced by Masen, and also the government that will pay the gap between the cost of renewables, between renewables, yes, in this period, and the cost that the customers has to pay from fossil fuels. This agreement was also signed by 2016 in order to allow Masen to, by 2010, sorry, to allow Masen to develop the projects. By 2016, and after the implementation of the first phase of Noor Warzazat, and when the works was coming on for the Noor 2 and Noor 3, Morocco decided to amend the law 57/9 and by the law 38/16 in order to transform Masen in the developer of all renewable energies in Morocco, wind, solar, and hydro, and also any other new technology when we have in Morocco the needed potential in order to develop it. A little view on Noor Warzazat, which is a solar complex of 580 megawatt installed capacity. Noor 1 and Noor 2 are two CSP parabolic trough power plants. The first Noor 1, 160 megawatt with 3 hours storage. We were learning about storage, and then after we understand that more we will store, more we will use our fixed investment capacities like steam turbine, electric connection, and so on, which means that the cost will be lower. So for Noor 2, and we will see for Noor 3 also, the stored capacity reached about 7 hours. Noor 3 is a tower, because the tower was and is continue to be a promising technology. You can reach higher temperatures, so it means that we can reach higher efficiency of the steam turbine. even just with steam turbine. Now with the supercritical CO2, it will be another thing. It will be even better. So Noor 3 is a power plant with 150 megawatt and also 7 hours storage capacity. I would just like here to say that all our solar power plants cannot generate any electricity between midnight and 7 in the morning because demand is very low. The fourth power plant is Noor PV, Noor 4, Noor Z4, which is a PV power plant. It was, let's say, sized to respond demand of auxiliaries of Noor 1, 2, and 3 during day. And in order to that, we have also an R&D platform, 150 hectares that are dedicated to R&D, and that can be used by any university and any research company. Mr. Hisham is the responsible on such R&D platform. Now, just a point of view on the grid. What during the last century, the production, the electricity production mix was needed, and we have never had, and I think in any country that was really well electrified, one technology to produce all needed electricity. You have, for example, in Morocco, you have, of course, hydro, because we have some hydro, even if we are not a rainy region, but we have some hydro. We have coal. We have combined cycle gas power plants, and we have also fuel oil power plants. Why? Because you need to respond a base load, which is, let's say, 24 hours a day. And for this, you will invest more per kilowatt, per installed kilowatt, while the variable cost, the cost of the fuel will be lower. So the coal will be needed for the base, for the demand that is mainly more than 80% of the year, of the hours of the year. It is the same case. It was the same case also in Europe. In Europe, they have also nuclear that is used in the same way, and before coal. Then after, you have demand that is in Morocco during, let's say, during day from 7 in the morning until midnight, when coal will be, the cost of coal will be higher, and also the power plants cannot be used. You cannot reduce or stop them as you want. It is the same case for nuclear. Nuclear, you have to work them 24 hours and never stop it. While this combined cycle gas, for example, can respond such demand, because the cost of the investment is lower. So the cost of installed capacity, the cost that you have to pay any hour of during the all hours of the year is lower, and the cost of gas is higher. So it is a trade-off between the solutions that we have to find. And the last one, the peak load. The peak load in Morocco, you have 5 hours of peak hours, and for these 5 hours, if you use, for example, coal, it means that you have an installed capacity of coal that costs a lot for the installation. And that means that you will pay a very, very high cost just for an installation without taking into account the energy that should be consumed. I'm sorry, I'm trying to explain this in details because it is very, very important to understand what is a grid. And we don't have one solution to respond all demands of grid. So that's why was constructed all the grids during the last century. Now, what is happening now? We are introducing intermittent energy, a lot of intermittent energy, PV and wind. And you can see on the on the figure on the right that we are reducing the use of coal power plants during day. Now, when we are producing renewables, which is not easily acceptable by these power plants. Moreover, it is not, even until now, it is not really a great issue. But what will happen in the future? You will continue to introduce renewables and to reduce the capacity of such power plants during some hours in the day, and you will have to use them at full load during other hours, which is not acceptable because the cost will be very, very high. As I said before, from coal, for example, coal will cost 3 cents for all hours during the year, between 3 and 4 cents. If you are using it 50% of time, it means that you will have to pay 8 cents without the cost of fuel. And if you are paying also 4 cents for fuel, it means that you will pay 1.12 cents per kilowatt hour during during the year, which is high. And moreover, you cannot start and stop such power plants. So just imagine that in 10 years, and it will happen in a lot of countries. Now we could see it last year in Italy and Germany, where they have high installed capacity, when you have to stop sometimes coal power plants in order to be able to continue to use all renewables. We think that it doesn't seem normal. We are migrating from one system, which was the system of the last century, to a new system with intermittent energy that will be generated on grid, and we have to find new solutions. In our studies, we have the chance in Morocco to have a lot of potential for wind and PV, of course, and we could see that when we are developing wind in the let's say 6 or 7 regions in Morocco where we have high potential of wind, we can mitigate a little bit the intermittency. And there are some synergies, because of course when you don't have wind in the north, you have it in the south, in the center, and you can continue to produce if you are generating on all regions. It is the same case and better for PV, because when you are generating PV for all over the country, you will generate, let's say in Morocco, in 90% of the power plants when it's raining in one region, because in any case it will never rain on all Morocco during the same time at the same hour, and we can see it from our studies. There are also synergies between PV and wind, because you will generate PV when the sun is better, and it means that the temperatures are high. But what you are high temperatures, you are using the density of air to generate electricity from wind. It is not only the speed of wind, but also density of air. Density of air is lower when you are high temperature, and you will generate less during this period. So there are some synergies. But anyway, even using the synergies, and we try to see what can happen in 2050, only with wind and PV, you can reach 80%, which is magnific, but it is 80% to respond demand, 80% in time. You can generate 100% of the electricity, but you will not be able to generate it in due time in order to be able to respond demand when it is needed. The second hybrid solution that we could see is PV CSP, and I would talk a little bit about it in during 1 minute for Midelt. How to have this 20 needed percent? Some can say we can continue to have fossil fuel power plants, but I hope and that I give some ideas to analyze it and to see that it is not really possible to continue to use fossil fuels to spend this 20%, because you will need 3 hours this day, 7 hours tomorrow, and let's say during 1 week no need, and during another week some hours. So it is not possible in this way. For coal, for example, it will cost the cost will be so high that then it will not be acceptable for from the grid point of view. And for gas also, when you are connected with the pipelines, you have to use a stable flow of gas. So you cannot use an Ukrainian or Algerian gas during 5 hours in the day and then stop the pipeline during 19 hours and then come back. No country will sell gas in this way. So we think that the main solution is storage, to store this energy that is produced, that will cost, that will have the lowest cost in Morocco. It will be between 2 and 3 cents of euros per kilowatt hour for PV and wind. So we can store it, and we can have an average cost of grid of electricity on grid that can be acceptable. I will talk about the four solutions that we can see now. Hydro pump storage, well known. You need to have sites, and they will stop here. If you have enough sites, you can develop it. Batteries, the cost is decreasing, but anyway, in batteries you are storing energy at high cost, and it will continue. Now I think that we are at $200 per kilowatt hour, per stored kilowatt hour, and it can continue to go down. I hope so for the grid, but anyway, until now you can have batteries for low capacity storage, low number of hours, which until 3 hours, 2-3 hours, it can be competitive, but not for more. Thermal storage has an advantage. The storage, the cost of storage is very low. You are storing electricity at 25 US dollars per kilowatt hour for the tower, but you will need a steam turbine to transform it in electricity. And when using steam turbine, you will have a low efficiency, and which is, let's say, 40%, like for example, for the tower, 42% of efficiency of the steam turbine. And also the cost of the steam turbine, that is high. So the fixed cost to transform thermal stored energy in electricity will be high. So the thermal storage will be competitive when you will need more than 5 hours, but it will be, I think that it doesn't have any competition when you need 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, 12 hours, and even 15 hours, which can be done with thermal storage in some cases. And the last one, from our point of view, can be in the future hydrogen. Hydrogen will help to manage the seasonal capacity. For all the 3 other technologies, you are on a daily use. For hydrogen, for example, during winter, we'll generate less electricity with PV, while during summer, you will generate less electricity with wind. So it will depend on how the grid is, what is the shares of each technology on grid, but you will need to generate from during winter or during summer. And for this, thermal storage, batteries, or even hydro pump storage cannot help. You will need another technology, hydrogen, which is being green hydrogen, which is being competitive now, can help to respond such demand. And this way, we will be able to respond all demand during the year without any problem, using all these technologies.
Abderrahim, 2 minutes, please.
The last slide also. So thank you. What about Midelt? Midelt, we was developing CSP in Morocco during between 2010 and 2014. And 2015, we could see that the cost of PV was lower during day, at least, than CSP, compared of use just during day. And we decided to see what it can allow us to do. And the first thing we think about was to use PV during day, so it is competitive, and to continue to use CSP during night, thanks to thermal storage, and to see what can happen. Our first analysis was that we could have 25% of cost reduction compared to CSP, and that can reach, it was at least, but can reach 40%. Finally, the project we are developing now, allow us to reach 60% lower. So the cost of such project, and I think that my colleague from Masdar will present it a little bit more, is 55 cents per kilowatt hour, while the power plant cannot be used between midnight and 7 in the morning, which means that we are reducing a lot the use of the steam turbine, which is used mainly 5 to 6 hours, which is very, very low, and which means that we can, if we are using such power plant, have a lower cost. Just to say that 55 euros per megawatt hours is lower than the cost of coal power plants. It is lower than even just the fuel for gas, because for gas you will pay us $100 approximately. Fixed cost is 20, and 80 is just for gas. So we are paying 55, which is much more lower than the 80 of gas. Of course, it is lower than fuel. So it is a competitive plant, and not generating only during day, generating also until the end of the peak hours of Morocco. Moreover, our Odessa power plant is covering 80% of the hours when it is allowed to generating during day and the peak hours until midnight, just to be compared with a coal power plant or gas power plant, which have a capacity factor of 90 to 92%, taking into account the needs of maintenance. I will stop here, and I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.